Okay. Sunderland versus Southampton. Obviously, Sunderland pulled one of the biggest upsets, I think, of the weekend, 4-0. So we've got Southampton 2.05, draw 3.5, and Sunderland 4.1. So Saints are struggling right now. Southampton seem to be sort of like turning things around. They drew to Tottenham 0-0. And then obviously last weekend, they won 4-0 against Crystal Palace, albeit a team also fighting relegation. Going to start with you, Alex. What do you like?
You know what? I will follow Nigel here because I read his emails a few hours ago, and I will say double chance Sunderland or plus 0.5 for Sunderland, 1.91. He said to us in the previous week and also 2 weeks ago that Southampton qualified in the final of the cup, so they will not they will nothing to play for. Sunderland plus 0.5 for double chance, wherever you find the better odds. 1.91 is what I found.
All right. Has he been reading your emails, Nigel?
He always reads my emails. He's definitely been reading them. And I tell you what, I think this is one of the better bets of the Premier League weekend. I think Southampton, as I said, the team, I think at 66-1, they're a decent trading price for relegation. They've got no goals in them. Defensively, Van Dijk is out, which is a massive, massive blow. I watched the game last week against West Ham. They played Bertrand, who's a left-back, as centre-half. Defensively, they look like they're going to concede every time. West Ham were brilliant in that game, and they just tore Southampton apart. And Southampton are a side I just think going to ease up. I was very tempted to back Sunderland just to win the game.
Yeah.
I thought it was a big, big price for him to win the game, but I was going to side on caution a little bit, and I agree with Alex. I'm going to go for Sunderland plus a half. I can't see Sunderland losing this game. They need the points desperately. They're at the bottom of the table. They're coming on the back of their best performance of the season, and Southampton are a side to avoid at all costs at the moment. Sunderland plus a half.
So what odds do you have for that?
1.91.
1.91. Okay. Yeah. Well, we've all been reading your emails, Nigel, because I'm also going for Sunderland and the draw, and I found those odds of 1.8. So 2 of the 3 options there. Sunderland are a stronger team at home, and I think, like you just said, Nigel, coming off some of the best football that they've played all season. Is it a little too late? Time will tell. But this is a must-win for them if they really want to pull themselves out of 19th position. Okay. Middlesbrough.
One second, Natalie. Sorry. Flo Diacono is asking Nigel. He's saying I would never bet on Sunderland. Bad manager, bad team, no value, and don't forget that Southampton signed a really good player recently. So, what do you say, Nigel?
First of all, who's the really good player they bought? He scored a goal. He's the guy who scored the goal last week. But let's see how good he is going to South Sunderland on a freezing cold day. But everyone said Sunderland have been bad for the last 2 seasons. They're an equally bad manager. They're bottom of the table. They're heavy odds on to get relegated. But this is what Sunderland the fans expect them to be. They expect them to be bottom of the table. They always turn it around the last part of the season. Always a tough place to go. When the crowd are behind them, it's a tough place to go. Southampton have no form, no defence, no striker, no chance.
So that's what Nigel thinks about that. There we go. Yeah, and Stuart from Tipster HQ also says didn't help them in the last game. And people are saying don't back Sunderland. I like the bet. So there we go.
That's one thing. I think Van Dijk, the centre half for Sunderland, is probably one of the most influential players to a side in the Premier League. With their win ratio and loss ratio when he's not in the side is absolutely huge. He's a big target for some of the big clubs. Losing him for 3 months and then taking out your top goal scorer, Charlie Austin, as well, is 2 players that Southampton cannot replace.
Yeah,
and expect to win. And the two out of the 2 sides, Sunderland need the points a lot more. And I think you'll see a big performance from Sunderland this one because they'll think they've got a great chance to beat them. And I don't think the bookies' prices are right.
Yeah. Any multi-team bets with nice odds? Do you know what? We don't have. Well, maybe at the end we can have a chat, but that could be something that we could add in. Definitely, sort of like our Premier League ACCA as well. So something to think about.